to the stage is the king of crazy. Let's put our hands together and welcome the king of crazy, Keon Hayes, and hanging with the Hazes.
What's up, fam?
Yeah!
Show you right.
That's right. Give it up for my main man. Now let's get into this.
What's happening, y'all? Yeah. Truly good to see y'all this afternoon as we are recording this. I do want to dig into the topic of economics when it comes to camping, because that is something that I said that we would deal with at some point. And we are at that juncture where it is time to start looking at how our dollar, when it comes to camping, affects tourism, job creation, local communities, and most importantly, what happens once our dollar goes into the campground, where it goes, how it's spent, what it should be spent on, and what we should expect to get in return. So without further ado, let's get this party started. So when we dive into the business of camping, what you have to understand is that camping is encompassing a multitude of various facets when it comes to economic venture. Now, investing in camping is more than just buying a rig, buying a tent, buying an apparatus, and then going out and doing something. That's just part of it. The back end part of it has to do with where your dollar goes when you camp, not necessarily what you camp in. So let's focus in on that aspect of camping life. The biggest piece of camping that is influenced by us is tourism. Now, tourism, by definition, is those who come to look at, explore, and hang out in a specific area. So we're going to pick on Williamsburg, Virginia, for this example. Williamsburg relies on people who do not live there to come into that community and spend money. Now, as a camper, your responsibility to a large degree is to assist with that, and their responsibility is to make sure that we have places that we can go and camp, set up for a base camp, things to eat, things to do, things to explore, things to come away with. That's their responsibility. Again, our responsibility is to supply the cash to have the fund to do that. Their responsibility is to make sure that the service is worthy of our money. Now, Williamsburg has 5 or 6 campgrounds within that little area that serve as a base camp. Now, those campgrounds do not want certain things influencing their bottom line. So in places like Williamsburg, my suggestion is never to try to boondock or something like that. You can for a day, but anything longer than that, you hurt their economy. The Chamber of Commerce, I am surprised, has not put out mandates that say that you cannot do these type of things in Williamsburg, because if they have not done it, it will be coming. Now, you cannot park on a lot of their parking lots. I think Walmart forbids parking down there for long-term RV use, like maybe a night, but that's about it. So that's about as much as you're going to get there, because they want your tourism dollar, that's where that word comes from, into the campgrounds. Those campgrounds then provide a place for people to go out and tour the area. So tourism is a large part of camping where our money goes. And it's in a good place, because these people are providing us with an experience that we don't get every day. So there's no reason why we should have an issue with that. Now, to segue into those folks that are looking for us to come, job creation. The more we camp into these type of places, the more jobs are generated. The more of us that go to these places, the more people have an opportunity to earn income. So it is very important that when we are staying in campgrounds and various places like that, that we support the campground itself, because the people there are not making a huge amount of money, but they rely on you to make sure they can put food on the table at home, just like you want to be able to do that. In other words, here's what I'm saying. When you go to these touristy type places, make sure you take care of the people that are taking care of you. If somebody is nice enough to bring you wood down after you pay for it, you might want to slide them a ghost, because you never know what a couple dollars can do for somebody else. When you are in the campground and the camp hosts are there and things like that, be nice to them. Now, you're spending hundreds of dollars a week sometimes going to some of these places. If you're expecting them to be nice to you, then the expectation for us as a camping community is to support the economy and be nice to them. Be courteous. If they ask you to stop driving over 5 miles an hour, don't catch an attitude. Say, thank you, I apologize, and continue to go back and support, provided that they're not rude or anything like that. Because keep in mind, they're trying to protect their interests as much as you're trying to have fun. So tourism leads to job creation, which ultimately leads to a boost in the local community that's around there. That community benefits from us coming because their tax dollar is reduced. The more we come and spend money, the less the town or the community has to tax the local homeowners in the communities. All of this is tied in, and campgrounds, believe it or not, generate more money than most luxury hotels in areas like Williamsburg. Reason being, A, they can get more per night, usually. So if there's 200 spaces in a campground, trust me, they're going to make 5 times the money that the local Motel 6 down the street is going to make. So campgrounds are really important for that. And our dollar, again, the more we spend, the less the local community has to rely on tax dollars to take care of things, because we're helping them out. Camping has become a very, very popular outdoor activity, especially in the last 10 to 15 years, and it generates billions of dollars in revenue a year. You are important, and you also have the right to get back what you put into it, dollar for dollar. Now, getting back to the tax revenue for the local communities, the one thing that communities don't want to have to do is support the entire burden, especially when they're in a touristy area, of us coming. So camping and in these type of communities and not boondocking and not doing other weird things, again, it keeps those communities together. And I can't say this enough. It supports small businesses. So campgrounds partner with local businesses like farmers and suppliers and outdoor, like I'll give you an example. That wood that you get that you're burning, usually there's a farmer bringing that in. Some of the things that are inside the camp door, some of the local people make. When you support the campground and then the campground supports other partners in business, it keeps the world going round in the area of camping. Now, I'm going to share something else with you when you start talking about the economic power of camping. In the United States, the market is expected to grow to $34.72 billion. Let me say that one more time. Your camping dollar is expected to grow, we as a community, $34.7 billion, B with a B, billion dollars by 2029, because we are now spending more per person per day. Now, let me get into the campground side of this, which a lot of people don't understand the economics behind that. Now, I am going to tell you under no certain terms that campgrounds have become greedy. I won't get too much into that. However, I just wanted to give you a sneak peek about where we're going with this. Now, when I started camping in, the 80s, when I started camping, I remember you being able to go and camp and get a decent spot maybe on the CNO Canal or something like that. And it was like $7 a day, $7 a person. I remember when you would be able to go to the local campground and get a primitive spot and it cost you $15. Okay. Now it is costing you sometimes in excess of $70 a day. So now we're talking for two people, $35 to go camping. And let's just be honest, that is expensive. Now, the other thing is more people are camping, more households are camping, and we're camping more than 3 times a year. But what these campgrounds have to understand is that camping, no matter how much these numbers look good, it is all based on the economy. If the economy is trash, we ain't camping because we can't afford $5 a gallon of diesel fuel. Let me tell you, I brought a coach up the road from Florida to Maryland at $5.35 a gallon, and I was hot. I went to go fill it up 2 weeks after that, and it was $5.99.9 a gallon. I didn't move that coach too much after that because you can't afford to do it. So campers in general, we are adjusting our camping based on the economy and the amenities that are offered. Now, check this out. Campgrounds charge based on amenities, location, overhead. But then here's what they do. They sneak in things to make more money. Like, I'll give you an example. If you go to some of the Sun Outdoors, and I'm calling them out because this is my show, and the last time I checked, First Amendment says freedom of speech. And if the first fails, then there's the second, and I'll leave that at that. So booking fees. So we're going to book online because that's what they want you to do. They don't want you to call now and do that. They want you to book online. You end up paying in excess of sometimes $15 and $20 just to book online. Like, really? Like, you're saving money because you got, oh, I'm sorry. So you want me to pay for the site that you pay to book for you that, yeah, okay. So you're not really paying for it. We're paying for it, the convenience of booking online. They're sneaking that in. This is an economic consideration that people have to take into when you start talking about camping. As much as you want to help with tourism, job creation, small business, tax revenue for these places, the campgrounds also have to get a grip. Like, come on, you're feeing us to death. Then let's talk about the hidden charges. All right, let's talk about those. Hidden charges are going to be when you come in, it's you, the lady, the 2 kids, the dog. But we're going to charge you $5 a car or $5 a visitor that comes in just to see you to grab a hot dog and sit around the campfire. But we don't tell you that up front. There's a campground I know that if you live there and you have a visitor, you have to pay $5 for the day. And the reason that they gave was, well, we have to maintain the asphalt. So the question was asked, well, do you charge the pizza guy for delivering? Well, no. You know why? Let's go back up to one of the things we said. We partner with local businesses. So because the campground benefits from it some kind of way, I'm sure. Why would they charge the pizza guy? No, we're going to charge the person that's already spending their money. Lock fees. Let's talk about those. A lock fee means I am going to select site 100 on the ocean, and I'm going to pay you $100 to lock that site. Why is that? I'm going to tell you why. A lock fee is there because they may not be able to book that site on Tuesday and Wednesday to guarantee you the site Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So instead of saying you have to pay from Tuesday to Sunday just for the Thursday to Sunday stay, they're going to charge you $100 to cover the cost of nobody there. So they're not spending any electricity on that site. They're not spending any water, but they're going to charge you a fee just because they can't book it to guarantee you're going to come on Thursday and get the site that you want. Now, to some people, that sounds like it makes sense. To me, it's a money grab. Always has been, always will. I never pay lock fees. Hey, look, check this out. I just want an oceanfront site. If you can't guarantee me that, don't charge me the oceanfront site money. Get me a site that I can fit in and give me my money back, the difference that is. So that is the economic explanation of where camping is, what it does, what the market trends are, how campgrounds are recouping some money. And the reality is, at the end of the day, camping has just changed. You have to be aware of where your money is going, how it's going, and what you're spending it on. And make the decision for yourself, what's good, what's not, what I'm willing to pay for, what I'm not. Am I getting the value for the dollar that I spend or not? Now, the last segment in this, after we take a quick commercial break, is going to talk about how campgrounds specifically drive the economy in the business of camping. And I'm going to explain that. Give me just a few shakes of a nickel and we'll be right back.
Now, in case you were wondering or may not have been aware, all of the funky grooves that you hear on here are played live or pre-recorded from my main man, Keon Hayes, the crazy camper. Now, if you like the grooves, let us know. If you want to hear something special, definitely let us know, because we don't mind dropping the funk, the whole funk, and nothing but the funk. Hanging with the Hazes.
All right. And for those of you who are catching this on a podcast, this is actually a live recorded show. So it's a whole bunch of followers that are out there watching me on a video right now. I just want to say howdy do to you. And thank you so much for hanging out with us. Now, let's get into the business really quick, because I really want just to take maybe about 5 or 6 minutes to go over this before we get out of here and do what we do. So the business of camping, let's talk about that. Now, a campground is very simple. It's an outdoor recreational space designed to accommodate, most of the time, tents, campers, and RVs. Now, campers being, I guess they're, how do we even say that? Campers, let's just lump RVs all into campers, because I don't like the separation of the two. I just don't like that. I'm not exactly sure why people refer to it like that. When I did my research, I just kind of jotted that down. I don't like that term camper. So let's go with tents, RVs, and leave it at that. So the purpose of the campground is to provide families and singles, or however you want to camp, with an opportunity to experience the beauty of nature. That was the original intent, going back to the days of way back. And they do have various amenities and services. And over the years, things have evolved with the campground. It went from a primitive place in the woods where you would go camp, pilferage for wood, that type of thing, roast marshmallows, no TV, no internet, no phones, to this lavish thing now that we do, where we drive around in $500,000 piece, bus conversions and things of that nature. And, we got the pool, and we got the paddle ball and pickleball and volleyball and baseball and basketball. All of this stuff is there now. So anyway, the bottom line is, no matter how vastly luxurious the campground is, or whether or not it's in the middle of a forest somewhere with lakes and mountains, the bottom line is, the idea is to escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life, get away from the rat race, and enjoy some tranquility. Now, the economics of campgrounds, like we said before, we said that the numbers just really don't lie. Campgrounds have been proven time and time again to be a major contributor to the local economy. And one of the most obvious ways that a campground boosts the economy, as we talked about in the very beginning of this, is through tourism. People come out and they seek the outdoor recreational activities of campground, and it has now become one of the top 5 choices for vacations and destinations. Now, tourism, of course, not only brings in revenue for the campground, but the surrounding businesses, and this supports the overall mission of campgrounds in general. Now, besides job creation that we talked about small business, we talked about local attractions. Let's get into the overhead of the campground and why they claim to be grabbing the money that they are. Now, when you have places like Disney Fort Wilderness, when you have Sun Outdoors type properties, those properties employ a lot of people. They have a lot of insurance, a lot of overhead, a lot of amenities that they have to support. And everybody understands that. When you pay $130 a night, however, you expect what I call the Disney experience. The roads are well paved. I'm not running over bumps. When I get into my space, I got plenty of room to stretch out and do what I need to. The water is clean. The cable is good. The electric is stable. And I have an experience of a resort as I walk around, knowing that I'm blowing $130 a night plus. When you don't get that, you then start asking, why am I spending this money? And you have to ask yourself, is it worth it just because of location? For instance, Cherry Hill Park down by DC, you will spend $120 to $170 a night down there to be close to Washington, DC. Is it worth it? That is something only you can answer. But you have to remember, when you do spend that money, don't be afraid to demand to get back the same type of energy that you put in. And for the most part, you get a decent Disney experience at Cherry Hill. But then there are some other places that not so much. And yet we're spending the same amount of money. So that being said, if you are staying somewhere, don't get ripped off. Demand the quality for what you are paying for. And if you are not getting it, and if you're getting rudeness and you're not getting the Prince and Princess Disney experience for $140 a night, make it a point not to go. Tell everybody why they shouldn't go. We have the power of the internet, and your dollar and your money talks. Make sure that you use that. Campgrounds, listen, I'm all for economic growth, but what I'm not for is ripping people off just because you feel like they can afford it because they're spending $500,000 on a diesel, $175,000 on the gas, Class B coaches coming through, Class C's, large fifth wheels. You think we got money? No, we giving it to the finance company. We're coming to you to hopefully help us out a little bit. And the more you help us, the more we're going to help you. It's kind of the way it goes. So that being said, enjoy this thing called camping. Like I said, it is going to boom in the next few years. But again, the economy drives the camping experience. I don't know how many other ways to say that, supply and demand are going to start playing into effect, and we'll get into that in a different podcast. We're also going to talk about revenue models and operating expenses that come with campgrounds. Now, I touched on it a little bit here, but I don't want to drive the time too much. Like, there is some overhead, but let's just face it. I mean, some things are just, way overplayed, and it is what it is. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to my man, Funky Skunk. Like I always say, y'all be blessed, and I'm out of here.
Be sure to join us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and you can always catch us on Facebook and YouTube. Hanging with the Hazes.